It may be a little early to call, but this is the best movie of 2024. Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 left me with a high, like I got some of that sweet, sweet spice. I was about 100% sure that I would love this movie ever since I heard it was happening. I love the Dune books. I love Dune Part 1. Hell, I even like David Lynch's Dune, and that movie's pretty questionable. So when I was watching this movie and seeing all the things I read about come to life, I just thought, man, they really did this, and I get to watch it. It really did feel like a moment. In my coming years, I will look back at this and just go, damn. But what works so well about this movie? Well, it's visually beautiful. The cinematography, the sets, the locations are top-notch. We get to see so much more of the Harkonnen homeworld in this movie, and it's absolutely awe-inspiring and terrifying. It consists of only black and white indoors. It's got these giant, brutalist buildings that make it feel so extremely cold. Even when they're outside, the sunlight is monochromatic, making everything black and white. Dune is a very gray story with morally complex ideas, except when it comes to the Harkonnens. They are literally and figuratively black and white. Just pure evil, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No one quite exemplifies this fact, quite like Austin Butler's Feyd-Rautha. Feyd-Rautha is Baron Harkonnen's nephew, and he is a brutal little weirdo. His performance is so alien. Every person in this world is far different from the humans of today, but Feyd doesn't even feel like he's of the same species as everyone around him. Also, the Harkonnens do the trope of killing their henchmen so much that I started laughing when they died. Like, man, the Harkonnen population must be massive because they are not worried about their manpower whatsoever. Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet also give great performances. This was the first movie I've seen where Zendaya really gets to act. It really shows off how powerful of an actress she can be. Chalamet portrays the vengeful young man very well, and after he goes through a character change in the movie, he portrays his new ego with a beautiful intensity. I think this couple's relationship is what really drives a lot of the movie, and the ending as well. But where this movie really gets me, and this is going to be a bit spoilery, so I recommend that you watch the film first, is that it's obvious that Denis Villeneuve understands Dune. Despite what people think, Dune is not about a white man coming to save a native people. It's about foreigners infiltrating a religion and using those of faith as a tool to shape the world. It's about dangerous, charismatic leaders and where following them leads. Speaking of manipulation, Jessica's character in this movie is a bit different than in the book. In the movie, she takes on a villainous role, whereas in the book, she mostly gives advice to her son. In this movie, she is egging on the idea that Paul is the savior of the Fremen and that he will lead them to paradise, even though she knows this will trigger bad stuff. I really like this take on her. She also talks to her unborn fetus, which just adds to how creepy this lady is. The Fremen people are actually a bit more complex here in the movie than in the book. There are northern and southern Fremen. Stilgar is a southern Fremen, and southerners are more religious and superstitious, while northerners, like Zendaya's Chani, doesn't believe in the Messiah, or believes that the Messiah will come amongst the Fremen. A trope I usually hate is when there are races, like in the Lord of the Rings movie, where everyone of that race is like-minded, even though we know as people that if life is intelligent, it will disagree and form other factions amongst itself, especially when there are millions of people, not unlike the Fremen. It makes far more sense than in the book, where all the Fremen are the same. It also adds to the heartbreak I feel when they stop being his friends and start worshipping him. It's genuinely terrible to see Stilgar go from a mentor to Paul to a rabid religious follower, willing to commit any action in his name. The ending made me wish it could have kept going for another hour. Not to say that the movie ends on a cliffhanger or it isn't a complete experience like the first one. It very much is a proper resolution in a normal sense, where you get closure and everything. But I just didn't want the movie to end because I was enjoying it so much and I was so enthralled. I watched at the edge of my seat. I believe that Denis wants to make one more movie adapting the second book, Dune Messiah, and based on the reception of this movie and the success of Part 1, I believe we're gonna get it. Dune Part 2 is a movie that doesn't come around often. If you haven't seen it, please do. Also, Gurney Halleck plays this little future banjo for 3 seconds in the movie. I'm sure Frank Gerbert would have shed a tear.